What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades. In today's feature blade, I'm very happy to show another fine product from Steel Wheel Knives. First, I'd like to say thank you to Steel Wheel Knives, to Paulina at Steel Wheel Knives, and to Steel Wheel Knives themselves for supplying this. That leads into the disclaimer portion. This knife was sent to me by Steel Wheel Knives free of charge, guys, and that is not going to bias this, what is going to be a pretty positive review. But I am going to point out a couple of things that I would like to see modified in this design. But thank you to Steel Wheel Knives. Now, what we've got here is the Steel Wheel Plague Doctor. This is a new model. It has not yet dropped. Pre-orders may be open at this time, but I got this as a review example, and I'm excited about it, guys. This is the full-size Plague Doctor, and it is large, and it is heavy. Just to let you know, it is large and heavy, and that's coming from me, guys, and you know I'm not sensitive to those things. I am letting you know it is large and heavy. There is a second version with a 3.4-inch blade that is going to be basically Spyderco Paramilitary 2 sized, and we're going to bring one of those out right now and give you sort of a size comparison. You can see how large this knife is and basically what size the smaller version of the Plague Doctor will be. Now, this is the model F16-03, and that signifies the full-size Plague Doctor with black G10 and black wash blade finish. You can find these when they are available. Blade HQ has got their price set at $72.99. I think it's a pretty decent deal at that price. And we will get into certain aspects of it later in the video that I think will bring that out a little bit if this is the type of design that appeals to you. Now, the Plague Doctor is a dedicated folding fighter, guys. Can you use it to open a package? Well, yeah, it's a knife. It's got a sharpened blade on it, guys. I can take a steak knife out of the kitchen and open boxes with it and break down cardboard. It's not going to be the best choice, but I can still do it. But this is a dedicated folding fighter. I'm going to bring a couple other dedicated folding fighters out here to show you how it compares in design language. The first one I'm going to bring out is my Casper Folder. This is a custom knife made by Pat and Wes Crawford. This is a design from Bob Casper, and it is the standard by which I judge fighting knives, folding fighters. And you can see that although there are different design choices, overall we have the same sort of vibe there. Now, the next dedicated fighter I'm going to bring out is the Cold Steel Talwar, which is unfortunately discontinued. Oh, that is so unfortunate, guys. And you can see again, you know, some different design choices, but the same sort of overall vibe and of a size with each other, guys. Dedicated fighters should not be small. No dedicated fighter should have a 3-inch blade. I'm sorry, guys. That is just too small. So it is a large knife. Now, how big is it, Baz on Blades? I mean, we've seen some size comparisons there, and we're going to see some more in this video. But let's get into some numbers and knock them out. Now, you're looking at a 3 7/8 inch blade. That's slightly less than 10 centimeters. The blade stock thickness, 157 thousandths of an inch, or 4 millimeters. Your blade width, 1.5 inches, or 38 millimeters. Handle length, 5.75 inches, 5 3/4 inches, guys. That's almost 6 inches long. That is 14.5 centimeters. Your handle thickness, pretty good, 557 thousandths of an inch, or 14 millimeters. Your handle width at the widest, 1.6 inches or 42 millimeters. Your closed width, fairly wide, guys. You do have a large flipper tab and an overall wide sort of profile. Is 1.98 inches. Everything but 2 inches, guys, and about 50 millimeters. Overall length is 9.5 inches or 24 centimeters. It does have a captured stop pin. I've estimated that stop pin thickness at about 120 thousandths of an inch or 3 millimeters. Behind the edge thickness on this very high, very well done flat grind is an amazing. I hit this in 3 spots as always, guys. Averaged it out. It averaged out to 20 thousandths of an inch behind the edge. One good thing about coated blades, they're super easy to check behind the edge thickness. You don't have to guess where behind the edge is on a coated blade. It's right behind the edge. So that is really, really slicey. So well done. And the perfect point for the blade steel. Your handle to blade ratio is right at 0.7, and your weight, a substantial 8.5 ounces or 243 grams, guys. I told you, it's big, it's heavy, and it's awesome. The steel, guys, D2 is quickly becoming the premium steel in the budget arena. And I like D2. It's not perfect, but it is very good at what it does. It's a high carbon, high chromium, high vanadium tool steel, semi-stainless, only missing the stainless qualification by 1.5% of chromium. You'll typically see it rock weld around the 60 rock weld point, give or take a couple of points. And what you get there is good fine edge retention, very good working edge retention. D2 has a long-lasting, very toothy and aggressive working edge. Toughness, impact resistance is pretty decent. At this behind the edge thickness, it should be pretty good. With D2 getting a little chippy sometimes if you go too thin on the edge. Corrosion resistance should be no issue with this coating, but come on, guys, it only misses the stainless qualifier by 1.5%. D2 is easy to take care of. Just keep a coat of anything on it. A coat of mineral oil, a coat of Tough Glide, a coat of, your CPL type of stuff. I mean, whatever, guys. You should never have rust issues out of D2. Now, materials in the handle, very basic, sandwich type build, G10 slabs, guys, over stainless liners that are weight relieved. You have a machine G10 backspacer here that is very well done. Stainless steel small parts, domed Torx head on your small screws and pivot, and then a stamped steel dog leg shaped stainless steel pocket clip. And it does come with a second pocket clip, much like cold steel products, so you can put a pocket clip on the other side, so you have ambidextrous tip up only carry with this model, guys. So there's your materials. Not super fancy, but very well done. We're going to go into fit and finish here, guys, and this knife is so very well done. This big, wide, flat grind is absolutely stunning. Look at the way the light plays across it. Now, I know that we've got a very thin finish on it, but you can still see the quality of the grind in the way that it reflects light, guys. Very well done on that flat grind. The secondary grind for your edge here, very consistent, guys. Very well done. It came sharp out of the box. The swedge here, not only aesthetically pleasing as far as design, it is very well done. It's a very well done, guys. All of these grind junctures are even. Everything comes together at the same point, side to side. And you know what? You've got these flowing sort of grinds here in the plunge that if you look down in the plunge, look at the shadow. This plunge is not as big and wide and soft as it initially looks. You can tell by the shadow, it looks like this sharpening choil is going to be plenty to get out past the plunge grind, so you don't have a bunch of edge flare at the termination there when resharpening. You get the visual impact of that flowing design as far as a plunge, but it's still pretty tight, guys. It's so very well done. The last thing we're going to talk about back here in the thumb ramp on this high portion here, you do have some very well done flat top jimping that works in conjunction with a very steep sort of ramp right here for traction. It's just fit and finish on the blade, guys. It's just super well done. Super well done. It is pointy. It catches and pierces instantly. No issues there. 4mm blade stock, guys. Start looking down the spine of this blade. Between the swedge and the distill taper on it, it's not super thick out on the tip, but it is not super fragile either. It is a great balance for what this knife was designed for. Fit and finish in the handle. Let's get up here super close, guys. I love getting super close, and you can see the fit and finish. As far as sandwiching this handle together it's perfect, guys. There's no gaps or anything. Even out on the corners, guys, everything is just fit well. It's machined well. It's good gracious, guys. It's just so well done. You've got weight relieving on the inside of these scales. It's just very well done as far as fit and finish goes on everything, every part, guys. Take a look at the black wash on the pocket clip and the blade. Pocket clip, blade, pocket clip, blade. It's the same, guys. It's the same. How many times have you seen knives that have 3 different shades of black hardware on them? This knife is very consistent overall. Let's get in from fit and finish. Let's go into action. This is a place where this knife shines, much like Steel Wheel's FRN line with the cut jack and modus and intrigue. This knife is built on phosphor bronze bushings, big old, thick old phosphor bronze bushings, and the action is beyond fantastic. Beyond fantastic, guys. Let's see if the frame rate will even capture this. Okay, there was such a delay there that I can see. It is very crisp, very smooth. The relationship of the large flipper tab to the center point of the pivot and the quality, the tune of the detent, all of it comes together to make a fabulous flipper, guys. It is forceful the way that it flips, and it is so smooth opening and closing. The feel of those phosphor bronze bushings, they feel hydraulic for what they are, guys. And you know, while not super drop shut like a bearing pivot might be, it is very, very smooth, guys. I have 0 issues in the action on this knife. It is very impressive. The lockup, super strong. Now, I want you to take a look here, guys, at the thickness of the liners. We're going to get up in here. Look at how thick the liner is in comparison to the blade stock thickness. That is a very, very good balance. This lockup is about perfect for a liner lock. It is just shy of the entire thickness of the liner being on the tang. So you got plenty of contact point there, and then you've got plenty of room for wear. I very much like how thick they went with the liners, even though it does make it a heavy knife. Even with the weight relief, guys, you're still 8.5 ounces or 243 grams. So you've got, I mean, all of these things, guys, that we're looking at right here, that we started with the fit and finish, and now we're in the action, guys. I mean, Steel Wheel is killing it. They are killing it. One of the greatest things, let's talk about this, guys. We're going to bring a prop in here real quick. I didn't plan on this, but we're going to bring a prop in. I want to show you something I very much appreciate in this design, and that is you have direct access to the bushings. Now, you know, in a lot of knives, you're going to come in here with your oil and you're going to try to get as close as you can to the bushings or the bearings, and then you're going to take your knife and tap, try to get that oil to go down in it, and you've got to put too much in there because only part of it is going to get down in there, and then you got to try to clean all that out. In this knife, guys, you have direct access to the bushings to lubricate them. I can take the needle applicator of my oiler and go directly in there and literally touch the bushing itself. I can apply oil, lubricant, directly to that bushing, which means one drop per side will instantly, from surface wicking, it will wick straight onto both sides of that bushing. That is super appreciated. I don't even know if that's intentional in the design, but it helps the action a lot when you can get in there and easily lubricate without over lubricating. Now, the centering straight out of the box was perfect, guys. The tension on the pivot screw, perfect straight out of the box. It's not super sensitive as far as having to put too much tension on it to get it centered, which tells me that the liners are straight and flat, the bushings are flat. Everything comes together to make it easy to center without a lot of tension clamping down on that blade. And that, guys, I cannot overstress how good of a flipper this knife is. I cannot, guys. It's just that doggone good. Now, ergos and utility. You know what, guys? It's like I say, I can do just about any task with any blade shape, but come on, nobody that is a knowledgeable knife enthusiast is ever going to look at this knife and think anything but dedicated fighter. This is not a combat utility knife. It's not a tactical utility knife. It's not an EDC knife. This is a folding fighter. And the blade profile, the utilitarian use of this blade is towards that arena, and it is, as far as that goes, this blade is a rock star, guys. It's a rock star. It is basically a asymmetrical spear point, in meaning that instead of the physical center of the blade being the grind center, this is skewed so far over, 9/10 of the way over and 1/10 on the other facet. But it is basically a spear point, guys, sort of in the guise of a drop point with a long swedge. So as far as piercing goes, The cross section, if you were to look from the tip, guys, that's not a good view in front of a camera, but it makes for instant piercing. This high flat grind, 20 thousandths behind the edge. The design of the edge profile, you've got a decent amount of flat section here that you could use for utilitarian work. Massive amount of belly right here. Over 50% of your edge length is belly, guys, coming up to a very good point. This is going to be a slicer in any slicing or slashing movement. It is easily going to pierce any soft tissue, guys. And it's got enough stock thickness there for strength. That is a fabulous blade profile for the design of this knife. Ergos in the handle. Come on, guys. Let's set that down. Let's bring these standard bearers back in here. The Casper and the Talwar here. And let's look at the design language between these knives. Yes, they're totally different, all three of them, if you just look at the differences. But if you look at what they have in common, you are going to see what makes a great folding fighter as far as handle profiles go. Your deep finger choil. You've got to have that deep finger choil. Your high end of retention. In the Casper, you've got a point here between the open section and the choil. You've got the deepness of the choil here and sort of a gun grip type of profile here in the Plague Doctor. And then in the Talwar, you've got more of this drop, this more ethnically inspired and pronounced. But they have a lot of the same characteristics, guys, that make a great folding fighter. And I'm going to keep saying that because I'm not going to review this as an EDC knife. That is beyond ridiculous. Too big, too heavy, too dedicated of a design. You know what? If I had to break down some cardboard, yeah, easily, it's going to slice like crazy, guys, with all the benefits of D2 at that blade profile and edge thickness. Now, this handle is so good. A very pronounced dish here that your thumb is going to go in, ramping right up onto the blade spine here with some good jimping that is not too aggressive in that position. You've got the perfect amount of drop on the handle here to fit the curved ergonomics of the palm of your hand. A nice wide butt here for those of you that like that reverse grip. Blam! Very good surface for your thumb to cap. You're wide open in the center here. You don't have a bunch of funky stuff going on that only works with certain hand sizes. And then on top of that, you've got a big handle that's almost 6 inches long, 5 3/4 of an inch, guys. And your handle width, at 1.5 inches at your widest point, you're pretty close, maybe 1.4 here. It's just the right ratio of width to thickness, which is just slightly over 1/2 inch. And then you take into account the ergonomic design, and what you've got is pretty much a perfect handle design for this type of knife. This back spacer, guys, if you remember the review I did on the Steel Wheel Sensor fixed blade, I was just giggly like a little girl over the jimping that was on that. It had just the most deliciously aggressive jimping, and this is a lot like that. It is a little more flat topped, but the way that it is cut is very aggressive on the edges, guys. It is super good jimping on that back spacer, and it is proud. The full depth of the jimping is proud of the handle scales, and it does add so much to the grip, guys, so much. It's just ergonomically damn near perfect for what it is, guys. And in the large size, no restrictions in that handle. You got a lanyard attachment point, although there is no way I would ever put a lanyard on a dedicated fighter. The pocket clip is low profile. It does have a, back a tip down flattening in parallel to the handle scale here at the tip. So it is not, I can feel that, but it's not, if I ever have to use this knife in its intended use or even in a utilitarian type of use, it is not an issue, guys. It's just doggone, it's such a good fold-in fighter. So, I've said nothing but good about this knife, and I need to mention a couple of things. A couple of things that I think would be an improvement on this knife. The first is in the hardware. The hardware is undersized, and I don't mean the physical size of the screws themselves. They are balanced as far as aesthetics on the knife. What I'm talking about is in a nearly 6-inch long wide handle with plenty of real estate and this size of hardware, there is no reason to use T6 screws. Zero reason, guys. These screws are large T6 screws. They need to be T8 screws. These body screws here and the pocket clip screws need to be T8 on this design, and the pivot should be T10. It does come in T8, and that's acceptable, but I would prefer to see it in T10 with T8 on all this smaller stuff, and that would be a huge low-cost improvement on this knife. The difference in the exact same hardware between a T6 and a T8 socketing is not that big cost-wise. There is an increase, but I think that it's a good enough improvement to warrant that small increase in cost. The second thing is, you see this chamfer around the finger choil here. It works great, guys, but I want to point you to the back side. This chamfer, combined with an internal pocket that's milled for relief for this liner lock, combines to make a very thin edge here, guys. It is not sharp. It's not going to cut you. And it's not super uncomfortable, but I do feel it is very, very thin. I think what I would like to see in this facet in here on the back side, let's take and look at it this way, where it is at a specific angle. What I'd like to see them do is reduce that angle just a little bit, reduce the depth of it. And basically, this thickness right here, I'd like to see it the same thickness almost as the front side here. That would make it a little more comfortable. Guys, that's the only thing that I can say for improvement. That's it. Beyond that, this is the only, as far as I know, dedicated folding fighter in the budget arena. There's a lot of tactical looking stuff, but this is a folding fighter. This is the only one that I know of in the budget arena right now. It is absolutely a fantastic design. I don't feel comical at all saying it's the best of its type in the budget arena, even though it's the only one of its type for the most part. I don't feel humor in saying it's absolutely the best, because I'm going to tell you right now, it would be nearly impossible to do a better design with better materials or anything at anywhere approaching this price point, guys. That's just all there is to it. I don't regret at all that it's on phosphor bronze bushings. The action is fantastic. Fantastic. I don't regret at all the D2, the G10, the weight or the size of it, guys. If you understand these types of designs, you understand they must have size and weight with them. A lightweight fighting knife is lightweight compared to heavy fighting knives. It's not lightweight compared to EDC knives. They have to have some weight behind them and aids in cutting. It's just a super strong feeling, large, well set up folding fighter, guys. And I think that for $73 is what they're going to go for once they're available. It's a bargain. And I'm going to recommend it, guys. And if you want to do the smaller version that is the PM2 size version, try it out also, guys. That's going to be a better size, I think, for EDC, and it'll be a little lighter too. So, Steel Wheel Knives, thank you. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch. As always, God bless you, and we will talk to you again.